This video is brought to you by Bellessa. Stay tuned because there's going to be a giveaway. My videos aren't going to actually kill anyone, and literally stuff that could actually kill people and has killed people. YouTube's like, what? Huh? Oh no, it's fine. It's a problem. It's a problem. Hey humans, it's Hannah. Welcome back to the channel. Here we are. This is part 2 and the last part of our dark, disturbing TikTok challenges Iceberg. If you were there for part 1, you know that this is an iceberg I made myself. I was as thorough as possible, and the iceberg goes that the top tiers are going to be the least dangerous TikTok challenges, and as we get deeper and deeper, they're going to get more and more dangerous until we get to the bottom tier where things get so dark. Now, if you watched part 1, you know that while there were some pretty disturbing and stupid TikTok challenges in there, it wasn't very dark. Like, it wasn't incredibly dark, but that's because we hadn't gotten to the deeper tiers yet. We had to lay the groundwork for this thing. So today we're going over tiers 4, 5, 6, and 7, and these are, I cannot believe that a lot of these were actually a thing, that people actually participated in this. And altogether, these challenges have taken so many lives. Like, people actually died doing this stuff. Oh, so we're going to talk about it today. First, this video is supported by a sponsor, so I'm going to roll to that, but I'll be right back with you guys. This video is sponsored by Bellessa, and stay tuned for a giveaway that I'm hooking you guys all up with today, where everybody who signs up is going to get free toys or gift cards. Bellessa is a bi-woman company who wants everybody, regardless of their identity, to explore and embrace their sexuality with no shame. So Bellessa actually doesn't know this, so this is kind of a surprise for Bellessa watching too, but I've been a fan of them way before they agreed to sponsor me. I bought their demi wand on my own with my own money actually months ago. Here's the demi wand right here. I've been a huge fan of them ever since I got it. However, I have to introduce you all to your new bestie, and that is the Air Vibe. The Air Vibe, let's just say, is life-changing, and you won't know what I mean unless you try it yourself. The Air Vibe has dual stimulation, and that means that it has both a G-spot and a clit stimulation on it. It is flexible as well, like it moves in any way that you want. Like all of their toys, it's also rechargeable, it's waterproof, and comes in its own little sleek packaging case. And that means you could take it with you anywhere. It's also very quiet. Another amazing choice is the Whisper Bullet, which is aptly named because this is so quiet. This is the world's first silent vibrator. You will not hear her, but trust me, you will know that she's there. Speaking of discretion, Bellessa also will arrive to your door discreetly as well. The few times that I've had stuff arrive at my door from them, I was actually confused for a few minutes until I opened it because I didn't know what it was that I had ordered. If you want to give Bellessa a try for yourself, use the link right below this video or in the pinned comment and sign up for the giveaway. Everybody, literally everyone who signs up for the giveaway will win something, whether it be a gift card or a free toy. It's going to be a super fun time all around. Let me know what you guys win from the giveaway, and thank you again to Bellessa for sponsoring. Now let's get back into the video. Okay, so as we get into tier 4, just a reminder to all of you that I am not a medical doctor and I am not a medical professional, so don't take anything in this video as medical advice or anything as me telling you you should do any of these things. I do not condone anyone doing anything talked about in this video. It's best to steer clear and just learn about it in the video. Just listen to me talk about it. So the first one on tier 4 that we have is the Borg challenge. Borg, in all capital letters, stands for Blackout Rage Gallon. This one's very popular amongst college kids. This is when you take a gallon jug. Typically people were taking like the big water gallons from the store and then emptying out like half of the water and then mixing hard liquor, electrolyte mix, and then some sort of flavoring, usually like the Mio drops or like any water talk flavoring. The whole goal of this is to carry the jug around all night while you're, out and partying, and you carry the jug around all night and you just drink from that instead of drinking other drinks. And the theory is that because you're drinking electrolytes and a ton of water mixed in with the alcohol, even though half water, half vodka sounds like my literal nightmare, the whole goal is that you're not going to get hungover the next day, that you're going to feel just fine, that you can get up for that 8 a.m. class lecture the next day at the university because you drank water all night, even though you got so drunk that, as the name implies, it's literally a blackout rage gallon, and the whole point is to get so intoxicated that you black out. Now, don't get me wrong. Again, I must stipulate this with if you're over 21 or the legal drinking age in whatever country you reside in, and drinking responsibly. Don't get me wrong, it is good to drink water while you're at a night out. It is good to drink a glass of water between every drink that you have, because a big part of hangovers is being so dehydrated from drinking the alcohol, right? So it is very good to drink water. The problem with this challenge in particular is that people were mixing way too much into the gallon. So they were like dumping out half the water and then sometimes putting an entire fifth of alcohol in there, which, by the way, a fifth is like 16 shots. So no matter how much water you're drinking, that's not good. That is not healthy. Several people have reportedly been hospitalized from partaking in this, and it's just worrisome to experts and parents, I'm sure, because it kind of glorifies and or normalizes binge drinking. I think that's the biggest problem, is that it makes it seem like drinking that much alcohol in one night, as long as you're drinking water, is fine. Newsflash, spoiler, that's not fine. That is not good. Binge drinking is not actually normal, and drinking so much that you black out or throw up, that's already alcohol poisoning. Now, I can see the argument on the other side though, because some people say that the Borg challenge is actually a good thing because people can make their own drinks that way, and they make their own drinks that has a lid on it, making it harder for anyone to tamper with their drink. And they just kind of hold their jug all night and don't let anybody touch it, It has the lid on it. The other benefit to this is that people can make their own drinks where they could maybe put no alcohol in there, but then they would be able to fit in with their peers still if they are, college age or just hit 21 or what have you. And they can fit in more with their friends because it looks like they're drinking a lot, but really they put like 1 or 2 shots in that entire gallon, or perhaps they put none at all and they just want to look like they're drinking. And so I do see the argument for it being a good thing because it is kind of normalizing making your own drink and putting your own limit in there. And there are safe ways to do this. Like, put the amount of drinks that you can have all night in there beforehand, and then you can very well control how much you drink throughout the night. But I think the problem is that most people, especially younger people, are not using it this way, and they are just like normalizing and making binge drinking like this in excessive amounts look like a fun and normal thing to do. Okay, next on tier 4 is NyQuil chicken, and I think I'm better. I think I have desensitized myself enough to this, but you guys know how the scalp popping thing in the last video, I can't even talk about it, got me really, really bothered. And so NyQuil chicken does something similar to me. I honestly think it's just because when I was sick as a kid, I did used to take NyQuil, because the benefits of NyQuil when you're super sick are amazing, right? Like, you have a really good sleep, even though you're sick, and it makes you feel better for the night. But the shot of NyQuil, if you don't get one of the flavored NyQuils, it just tastes like straight licorice. It's so yucky. And so I think I have flashbacks and an association with how nasty NyQuil is. I also just hate the taste of licorice in general. And so this challenge makes I hate it. So NyQuil chicken started in April of 2017 when somebody accidentally started this trend/challenge. Somebody posted on Twitter about how their girlfriend made them NyQuil chicken. Tristan Depew tweeted about NyQuil chicken as a total joke and joked about how him and his partner were going to eat it. And it was a total joke. He said he never intended for it to become a thing. It was completely just a silly little meme picture that he made. He had never had any intention of eating the chicken. It was supposed to be disgusting. It was supposed to be something unappetizing, right? But nonetheless, throughout the years, it has been trending, and it recently made a resurgence, I think in the past year, where people were doing hashtag sleepy chicken and making videos about cooking their chicken in NyQuil over the stove. Oh my God. Oh, it makes me never want to eat anything ever again. Raw chicken is so gross too. Like, A lot of people have an aversion to raw chicken, myself included. Now, the good news is that I don't think, I could not find any evidence that people were actually eating this, or if they did, they took one bite and had to spit it out, or they managed to eat one bite and swallow it because they were dared to. I don't think anybody was actually doing this and then eating an entire chicken breast. However, regardless of that, this is so dangerous because experts, again, medical professionals, were warning people that cooking NyQuil, cooking medicine changes the properties of the medicine and can make it very, very concentrated. So if somebody did eat a whole chicken breast cooked in NyQuil on a dare, they could really, really overdose, if not go to the hospital, if not worse. And then experts were also warning that the vapors can also affect you. So cooking the chicken, even if you don't eat it, the vapors from the NyQuil on the stove can also be dangerous. Now, if you want more details about the science behind this, I highly recommend Chubby Emu. I will be honest, I've never seen his NyQuil chicken video. I remember specifically trying to watch it, but he included so much B-roll of people cooking the NyQuil chicken that I couldn't handle it. It made me too sick to even watch. But I've watched a bunch of other Chubby Emu videos and they're all amazing. So I'm sure that video is great as well. So if you want more info on it and you could stomach it, watch his video. Okay, salt and ice challenge is next. The salt and ice challenge was when people figured out that salt and ice on your skin burns your skin. So people, again, this is usually a dare or a challenge to be filmed for TikTok or social media. So people were putting salt on their arm and then putting ice on the salt on their arm and like pressing it in. I'm not a chemist, but the chemical reaction of salt and ice and your skin makes your skin burn and was causing actual burns on people and scars that were lasting for weeks. The point of the challenge was also to see how long people could last with the ice on their skin with the salt. So like who could last the longest? Now, probably this isn't going to seriously injure or kill anybody, but I still put it on tier 4 because it's like intentionally injuring yourself because you know for 100% chance that you are going to get at least minorly hurt participating in this. The one chip challenge. Oh my gosh. Do y'all remember this one? The one chip challenge was Paqui, I think that's how you say the brand name, Paqui, came out with a tortilla chip with Carolina Reaper powder on it, and they came out with one that had different peppers on it later, so they did change the formula every now and then, but it originally was the Carolina Reaper, and it was supposed to be so spicy that it came in this tiny box, and it was just one chip in this box, and it was like $10 for a chip, and like you weren't even supposed to touch it. You're supposed to like use gloves. It was first introduced in 2016 and pretty quickly it went viral on social media, especially TikTok, where people were trying to see if they could eat the chip, and then the challenge was to see how long you could go without drinking any water. So timing yourself after eating the chip and seeing how many minutes you can go before you drink milk or ice cream or water or whatever it is to stop the burning or to help the burning. Paqui, the company, was totally leaning into this. They were thrilled that this went viral. They were making so much money, and then they were even doing sweepstakes and promotions to promote the chip and to promote the challenge and encourage people to do the challenge. To be fair to the company, they were very clear on their website and on the packaging, the warning labels, that this was intended for adults, that only adults should partake in this, and that it was not intended for children. I will give them credit for that. They were never telling children to do this. In fact, they were saying children should not do this. The active ingredient in chili peppers, called capsaicin, is what is so spicy in these things. Eating too much capsaicin can cause cramps, diarrhea, vomiting. It can make you really, really sick. And even though the company was urging only adults to try this challenge, of course kids were going to do it anyway. You could just buy the chip somewhere. I don't think there was an age limit. I don't think you had to show ID to buy the chip. And even if you did, kids still would have gotten a hold of it. And so kids were doing this, and a few of them ended up hospitalized. So you can get all those cramps, diarrhea, vomiting, but in some cases, depending on the person, depending on their underlying health conditions, depending on how old they are, all that stuff. It can also cause chest pain and cardiac arrest. In September of 2023, Pocky's One Chips were removed from the shelves altogether after 14-year-old Harris Wallabaugh died within hours of eating the chip. His cause of death ended up being a heart attack from the capsaicin in the chip. Now, in full disclosure, Harris did have an underlying health condition. He did have an enlarged heart, and he had some sort of congenial heart defect. But I don't think his family knew, and I don't think he knew. So I think if they were aware of that, well, I don't think his parents knew that he was going to eat this, but I think if he knew that, he probably wouldn't have eaten that, or he hopefully would have asked his parents. So I think it was undiagnosed, and it ended up that he had this heart condition. But how scary is that? Because then other people also, you can have an undiagnosed heart condition, and if you didn't know and you thought this was safe and you took this, like, oh my gosh, so dangerous. And yeah, so sure enough, little Harris loses his entire life because of this. Packy did have a warning then on their website saying not to eat the chip if you had underlying health conditions, but in the article I read, it was unclear whether that warning was placed before or after Harris's death, like if they just put it there to try to save themselves after they learned that Harris had passed away. I know for the vast majority of people doing this, it didn't have long-term effects. I know that it was just a fun 20 minutes of, torturing yourself for the love of the game, for TikTok, just for your friends. But because so many kids were hospitalized and because a child actually died because of this as a result, that's why this one is on tier 4. I don't know. If you're going to sell something like this, I think it needs to be more regulated, because this is not food. This is just straight up not food. This isn't even processed food. This is something that's literally not meant to be eaten. Like, I don't understand. Nobody's supposed to have Scoville levels in their body that high. And yes, I know there's things like Hot Ones, and I love that show. Like, I love watching a good Hot Wings episode. But even in those cases, they're just taking a small bite. They're just putting a few drops of the hot sauce and taking a bite, not eating an entire chip. Not to mention, I don't know what goes into having to be on that show, but you probably need to do a physical or at least sign off on a lot of liability and waivers in order to go on Hot Ones. Okay, and then with the one chip challenge, I also put the Trouble Bubble Gum challenge right below that one, just because they kind of go into each other. So same thing. This is a bubble gum that, even though the Pocky chips are off the market, they're now discontinued. Some people still have them, and you can buy them on eBay for $100. But this bubble gum, this Bubble Trouble, I think is what it's called, Trouble Bubble Gum, is on the market. And you know how we were just talking about Scoville levels? So for reference, Scoville pepper spray, for example, police pepper spray or pepper spray that you buy as a weapon, has a Scoville level of around 2 million, is like what a lot of them have. Not always, but a lot of them are around a 2 million Scoville level. That's the spiciness level. Now, this bubblegum has a Scoville level of 16 million. That's insane. Some elementary school kids in Massachusetts got a hold of this bubblegum. Somebody brought it to school and started passing it out to their friends, and 10 kids at the school ended up hospitalized. A bunch of others had to go home sick from eating this gum. They said it was like a pure nightmare. There was just kids in the hallways, just red and sweating and vomiting, and just everybody in it like zombies, like terrible, terrible state. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this gum is still on sale, and I believe that this gum is less dangerous than the chip, and that's why it can be a higher Scoville level, because you just chew gum. You're not supposed to swallow it. I think that's the logical reason to me why nobody like died from this, or none of these kids had heart defects too, which is why they didn't have heart attacks. But if somebody knows more about this than I do, if you could correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, I would really appreciate it. But I think logically is just because you're not actually swallowing something, so it doesn't go into your stomach. But regardless, maybe I'm just a square, and maybe I'm just too old, but I do not understand these challenges. They just sound so disgusting to me. I'm not a spicy food person, but even spicy food people, I feel like there's a limit where it just doesn't make any sense to eat it. Like, why is it even fun to eat spicy food when it's so spicy you can't even taste it? But, anyway, Don't eat Trouble Bubble. Fish tank cleaner is next. The fish tank cleaner challenge. This one is so bizarre. This was a very popular trend / challenge with especially fitness influencers a couple years back. And that was because a common fish tank cleaner is methylene blue, and that is an antifungal dye that people often use to clean their fish tanks, and it is consumable. Doctors do sometimes actually prescribe methylene blue for methemoglobinemia, and that's a blood disorder where your tissue doesn't get enough oxygen. So it can be injected, it can be prescribed, but for some reason, fitness influencers got the idea or heard the rumor that methylene blue can basically be your miracle pill to solve all of life's problems. I think honestly because it's an antifungal, so they thought that if they would just ingest it, which you can get it, I think you can just buy it over the counter, but the influencers all thought if they started taking it, it would prevent aging, help them sleep amazing, improve their brain function, improve their memory, improve their endurance and their awakeness, and blah, 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 make them shit rainbows and cotton candy like influencers always say. They have the one product that literally solves all of your life's problems. There was also this tiny, tiny little study about methylene blue and its connections with curing COVID. And I'm going to let this doctor from TikTok explain this one and also explain the risks of methylene blue because I am not a doctor.
Hello there, Canadian physician here, and did you just tell your 500,000 followers that methylene blue can be used to treat COVID-19? The study behind you is a preclinical lab study showing that it inhibits the coronavirus binding to ACE2. Preclinical studies are good for generating ideas for trials in humans, but it needs to be tested in humans first to prove that it works. Not to mention that methylene blue is not harmless. It can cause destruction of red blood cells in people with G6PD deficiency, causing potentially life-threatening hemolysis. As an FDA warning because it interacts with people's antidepressants to cause something called serotonin syndrome, which is potentially fatal as well. Not to mention it can discolor your skin and bodily fluids. So methylene blue is not recommended for the prevention or treatment of COVID-19. I'd also like to point out it's irresponsible for a non-medical professional to post that on their social media as it could lead to real harm. I hope this helps.
That was Dr. John on TikTok. My understanding is that he's a Canadian physician, and I highly recommend you all go to watch his Day in the Life According to My Comment Section video because it was pure internet gold and it was amazing, and I didn't know I needed it in my life until I saw it. So good job, Dr. John. Love your content.
Then I get some vaccine doses ready to inoculate random strangers against their will on my way home. Toss my big pharma money on my bed so I can roll in it in my sleep.
So in actuality, taking methylene blue can also turn the whites of your eyes blue, turn your mouth blue. Like he said, it can cause serotonin syndrome if you're on SSRIs, which is very, very bad. And then, of course, the basic symptoms that you can get from taking almost anything you shouldn't take: headaches, vomiting, diarrhea, stomach cramps, etc. And just a good reminder to everyone that there is literally nothing on the planet that you can buy with money that's just going to solve all of your life problems and make everything peachy keen. That is not how life works, as much as fitness influencers would love you to believe that so that you use their affiliate link. The best thing for your cognitive function, for your energy, for anti-aging is the same old boring ass answer that any doctor will give you, and that is adequate sleep, healthy, balanced diet, exercise a lot and frequently and consistently, and don't drink too much, never smoke. That's it. That's the secret to life. You're welcome. And I am confident to say that because I feel like any doctor would agree with me. I'm sorry, but I'm just like so anti-fitness influencer. I think it could just be so dangerous because way too many of them start to shill out advice that they shouldn't be giving out. And it's always advice with the goal of getting you to buy something through their link. So if you do like and listen to fitness influencers, that's great, but please, for the love of God, just fact check them before you believe a claim on one of their videos. And also remember that any product they're trying to sell you, they're getting a kickback on whatever it is that you buy from them. I feel like a lot of them also will say like not sponsored so that you'll feel safer, like it's more of a genuine recommendation, when in actuality, just because it's not sponsored, it's still an affiliate link. So they're still getting a commission. And a lot of them are sneaky and kind of skirt around that and don't don't disclaim that it's affiliate links ever. So all that to say, I don't have a problem with affiliate marketing. I don't have a problem with influencers getting their bag. Like, don't get me wrong, that's how I make money too. I totally understand it, but going with FTC guidelines is very important. And I can promise you that every fitness influencer that were taking pictures with their tongue sticking out all blue from the methylene blue that they were buying, I guarantee you they had a link to the supplement that they wanted you to buy too. Okay, moving right along. This one is way more dangerous. This is the Kool-Aid Man challenge. And disturbingly, this is exactly what it sounds like. So first of all, y'all know the Kool-Aid Man commercials, right? They're very, very famous commercials. Here's an example.
You forgot the pitcher.
Oh, no. Oh, yeah.
Kool-Aid is for hot kids like you. Kool-Aid is for hot kids like you.
Well, teenagers thought, let's do that too in a challenge. Even though, like, it didn't occur to them that the Kool-Aid Man is an animation. The Kool-Aid Man is not a real person running through walls like that, you know? He was either an animation or way back in the day, a guy in a costume, and it was all controlled and set up in a way that the barrier would break easily. Like, they know that, right? Well, Kool-Aid Man challenge, young people, teenagers, but young adults as well, running through fences and other barriers, usually screaming, "Oh yeah," just like the Kool-Aid Man, and just vandalizing property and destroying property as they do it to break into random places. This is again illegal. You could be arrested for vandalism, for trespassing, but besides that, it's also just so dangerous. Why would you do this? Again, it's just doing something purposely to injure yourself. It's just doing something knowing very well what the result is going to be. It's just mind-blowing to me. And that's the theme, is that a lot of these are like knowing that you're going to injure yourself. All right, moving right along to the Plan B pill challenge. This one you'll often see trending under the hashtag Clear Blue challenge. I don't know who discovered this, but people discovered that if you open a pregnancy test, like an at-home pregnancy test, the stick that you pee on, that if you open it up, there's this little tablet inside of the pregnancy test. And then again with that, somebody started the rumor that that tablet was a hidden Plan B pill that the pregnancy test companies were putting in their pregnancy tests for you. I don't think it started on TikTok, but it started trending and it became a challenge on TikTok for people to open the pregnancy test and see if they could find the tablets. These were obviously not Plan B pills that the companies were hiding in their devices. These were something called a desiccant tablet, and this is just to absorb moisture. It's like a silica tablet basically, those little gel silica packets we find and stuff to absorb moisture so the product doesn't get damaged. That's all it was to absorb moisture from inside of the device to make the device work properly and make sure it had a good shelf life. And even if this was a Plan B pill, that would make absolutely no sense anyway, because Plan B, first of all, you're supposed to take, I think it's within 5 days of unprotected sex. Best, the sooner after unprotected sex, the better, but you can only take it for a certain amount of time. By the time you're taking a pregnancy test, people are often several weeks into their pregnancy when they take pregnancy tests. I know they're getting earlier and earlier, but it would probably be too late to take a Plan B test, whether the test was positive or not. And in addition to that, because Plan B prevents pregnancy, it prevents conception in the first place. People, I think, are getting this confused with the abortion pill and thinking that they're putting the abortion pill in there to, again, if you were pregnant, then you could take the tablet on the inside of the test. The abortion pill can end a pregnancy up to around 10 weeks, depending, of course, doctor's discretion. But Plan B is not the abortion pill that prevents pregnancy from happening in the first place. So this one's just so stupid, and it's just encouraging people to eat something that's completely non-edible. I guess I could have put this one higher up, probably in like tier 2 or 3 now that I'm thinking about it and talking through it. But it is, again, one of those things where people are like purposely not poisoning themselves, but purposely taking something that's not edible. Like, what the hell? Okay, teeth filing is next. This one is so crazy. People on TikTok were literally taking videos of themselves using a nail file to file their teeth down. People that didn't like the way that their teeth were, if they didn't like ridges on their teeth, they wanted their upper teeth to be completely like a straight, perfect line, which by the way looks really unnatural anyway for most people. Or if they had like a buck teeth look, which also is super cute, and people didn't like it, and they would like file them down to match the rest of their teeth. What could go wrong? Don't do this. Nail files are for nails. You want to know why? Because nails grow back. You know what doesn't grow back? Your teeth. Filing your teeth down, you can't undo that. Once you do that, that's forever. The only way to fix it would be go to the dentist and have very, very expensive cosmetic work done that your insurance probably won't cover, and you'll end up spending a shit ton of money to fix a problem that you thought you were saving money by fixing yourself in the first place. You know what I mean? You just cost yourself more money in the long run if you need to go get it fixed. In terrible cases, this can also cause a dead tooth. You can literally kill off one of your teeth, or just chip away or damage the enamel, which is super, super bad. I don't know if you guys know this, but your teeth are one of the most important parts of your body. I'm being kind of facetious because I know most people know that, but it is connected to so many parts of your health. That is why we have completely separate doctors that we just go to, different insurance, different doctors just to go to the dentist. That's why they want you to get cleanings every 6 months, and why they want the dentist to look after your teeth and fix any issues before they start, because you need your teeth for life, and teeth are so unbelievably important to your health. Yes, there's solutions. Yes, veneers are becoming more and more popular, but properly placed and good veneers are thousands and thousands of dollars to get. Most people don't have the type of money to shill out for veneers, and so the goal is to keep your adult teeth once you get them until the day you die. Okay, and then last on tier 4, another tooth one. This is DIY vampire teeth, and TikTok challenge where people were literally super gluing little costume vampire fangs onto their canines. They did it with super glue, often nail glue, because that's the most accessible for a lot of folks. A lot of people have nail glue lying around already. And they did it because, of course, everybody wants to look like a vampire. Like, how cool is that? It's like a body modification thing. Sure. Now, if you wear press-on nails, which I do because they make the best press-on nails now, like why would anybody go to a salon when press-on nails are so amazing nowadays? They've really turned them around. They look so good. But if you have ever done press-on nails, if you ever get that super glue, that nail glue that comes in the kit, or the brush-on glue is what I use, if you have ever gotten a drop of that on your finger and then it got stuck to another part of your finger, you understand the pure unadulterated panic that goes through your entire body for the few seconds before you get your skin unstuck from your other skin, and you're so scared. You're like, oh no, I'm gonna be like this forever. Also to say is that nail glue is so scary, and imagine putting it on your teeth and accidentally getting some on your gum, on your lip, on your other parts of your skin, on your tongue, and you're never going to get those teeth off by yourself. So the super glue in itself is also poisonous. Like it's also not edible. You're not supposed to put that in your mouth. And then the only way to get it off, if somebody was going to try to get it off at home, which I'm not saying do this, go to the doctor if this happens to you, but this is what people were doing, trying to get it off themselves using like nail polish remover to get it off, because they use nail glue to put it on. So it's only logical that they would use nail polish remover to get it off. Well, nail polish remover sucks. Just FYI, I use pure acetone to get any sort of nail polishes or nails off and stuff, because pure acetone is the active ingredient in nail polish remover, but pure acetone works 1,000 times better. So that's the only way that anybody would plausibly be able to take them off at home. And shocker, you're definitely not supposed to put acetone in your mouth. This would be so dangerous, so disgusting. Also, again, poisonous. Acetone eats away at everything. Like, if you've tried to put on a glove and then used acetone to wipe something, I was doing that to clean off clean off duct tape glue from something once when I was moving out of a place, and the acetone would literally go through the rubber gloves that I was using. Like, it literally ate away through, I think it was latex gloves that I was using, to be fair, but it would literally ate away at the gloves that I was using. Acetone eats away at everything. Imagine having acetone on your teeth. It's going to eat away at the enamel and really damage your teeth anyway. Oh my God, do not do this. If you do this, you have to go to the dentist and get it professionally removed and have somebody remove it who knows what they're doing and knows how teeth work and stuff, so it can be done safely. I was also reading an article that if people really, really want to do this, use like denture glue, use something that is mouth safe. It's not going to last as long, but they were like, well, if you really need to do it, you can at least use that and it'll work for a little while. I'm sure there's other alternatives online you can do to get vampire teeth that doesn't require irreparable damage to your enamel and to your teeth. People, it's wild that people were doing this. I saw another video of a person who put the vampire fangs on and then were trying to use a nail file to file the vampire fangs off. Like, they combined these two challenges. Absolutely wild. So dangerous. Don't do this. Okay, let's move on to tier 5. The first one on tier 5 is the Kia challenge, or the Kia/Hyundai challenge. This is often referred to as the Kia boys with the Z as well. This one started around October 2022, and I used to actually have it higher on this Iceberg because while it was extremely illegal, like felony grand theft auto, it wasn't like particularly dangerous. Like, I didn't think people were actually getting hurt doing this. But then I learned that there have been 8 deaths connected to this challenge. So there are certain Hyundai and Kia models that were made between 2011 and 2021 that don't have immobilizers in them. Immobilizers are something that the car makers put in the cars to prevent hot wiring a car. It makes it so that the car will not start without a key. But these particular models of Hyundai and Kia cars did not have immobilizers in them, even though they're modern cars, so I'm not sure why, but people figured out that there was particular models that did not have these, and therefore they figured out that the car could be hot wired with a simple USB cable. On October 23rd, 2022, 6 teens from ages 14 to 19 years old in Buffalo, New York, did this challenge, ended up crashing, and it killed 4 out of 6 of the teens in the car. In May of this year, 4 teens in Pennsylvania hit and killed a 55-year-old pedestrian man with a stolen Kia. And in December 2023, up here in my state, Washington, 5 teens stole a Kia and had 3 guns in the car with them while they were fleeing from police officers. One of the 16-year-old boys in the car drowned nearby when he was trying to flee from the police because he went into the swamp and the boys were trying to hide in the swamp, and I think he got stuck in the swamp and ended up drowning. The other 4 people, 2 of them were caught and charged by the police, and the other 2 did manage to get away and have never been caught or charged. Absolutely horrific. Now, I know we already started tier 5, but just brace yourself because this is where things start to get pretty dark. So the next one is the chroming challenge. It's also often referred to as the aerosol challenge, or if you see it on social media, it'll be #WhipTalk. This is teens inhaling the fumes from aerosol cans. Often the choice is from spray deodorant cans. 13-year-old Ezra Haynes from Australia passed away in March of 2023 as a direct result of trying this trend. She did this at a sleepover with her friends and went into cardiac arrest, suffered brain damage. She went to the hospital and was in the hospital for a week before she passed away. 14-year-old Sarah Mescal from Ireland then passed away in September 2023 after allegedly doing the chroming challenge. It has not been definitively linked though. And then in March of 2024, another child, this time an 11-year-old boy named Tommy Lee, passed away in the UK from trying the same thing at a sleepover with his friends as well. Those are the tragic deaths that have been related to chroming. There have been plenty more hospitalizations though. That seems to be a huge theme of these challenges, is teenagers who don't have the means but they want to be cool or they want to experiment, trying to find alternatives to drugs that they would buy illegally. And we're not even done. There's more similar to this down this list. Okay, the fire challenge is next. Some of these are going to sound so outlandish. It's actually insane that this is a thing. And this is actually a few different challenges that have come and gone, but I'm just combining them all into one because it's relatively the same concept. So from least dangerous to most dangerous, but all of them still dangerous, teenagers and young folk were spraying a mirror or a surface with a flammable thing, usually rubbing alcohol. They were like making a design on a surface and then lighting the flammable design on fire in order to make a design. So like spraying a heart with something flammable on a mirror and then catching it on fire so that it's a heart on your mirror on fire, right? The other one is fireballing was a big one as well, where kids are just lighting something on fire while they spray something from an aerosol can. You know, aerosol cans are very flammable, and spraying it and then lighting it on fire to try to like make a fireball. And then even worse than that, there's also this challenge/trend where people are literally doing this on their own body. I know. I'm not even kidding. Like making it, not like their whole body typically, not like just setting their entire body on fire, but making a design on their arm or on their hand, or just putting a small flammable thing in their hand, lighting it on fire, and then putting it out before it burns them. I mean, that's the idea anyway, is that nobody's trying to get hurt. But obviously, most people don't know how to, unless you're a professional or a magician and you know what you're doing and it's all a trick, like there's no way this is going to end up good for anyone. So the intention behind the challenge is to not actually get hurt. The kids are doing this, if they're doing this on their own body, they're by the shower and they're jumping in the shower right away, or they're putting it out very quickly on their hand before it actually gets to their skin. That's the concept. That's why to them it doesn't seem as stupid as it does to, I would say, most adults. But of course they get hurt in the process. Kids have been hospitalized for this one. Thankfully, I couldn't find any evidence of anyone passing away from this, but don't set yourself on fire. Hello? It's insane that I have to say that. I know I've said that a lot throughout this series, but it's crazy that I have to say just a little tip for life. Don't set yourself on fire. I'm glad that trend doesn't seem to be really big, at least right now, because that's inevitably going to end in deaths if people keep doing that. Thankfully, it hasn't, though. Okay, the player knockout challenge is next. I can almost guarantee that none of you have heard of this because it wasn't very common in the US or other Western countries. This one was particularly popular in China. And you know, TikTok's the version of TikTok in China, it's called Douyin. I'm sure I'm saying that wrong. I don't speak Chinese. But the Chinese version of TikTok, this was a thing, and it was called Player Knockout, where people would live stream themselves and then would drink on live stream, and they would often do it. I've made videos about trash streaming. I think it's kind of a similar concept, except hopefully it's just you and not other people. But they would then drink when the audience tells them to drink, or they would drink for tips and stuff like that. Or you were playing a game with the people watching, and then if you lost whatever round, then you would have to drink. But the problem was that people were drinking a lot in one sitting, and two men that actually knew each other because they were both in this kind of streaming world, like they were both streamers, ended up passing away from doing this. Two young Chinese men have died from alcohol poisoning, and it was both in 2023 as a direct result from doing this live streaming game. What's also really sad is that one of the young men who passed away was doing this so that he could pay off his debt. He was in a lot of debt and was trying to get extra money through live streaming. So he was drinking copious amounts on live streaming to impress the audience and again, get more tips. Absolutely tragic. Okay, so the next one on this list is the Bird Box Challenge. You know, the Netflix horror movie Bird Box that came out, I think it was 2019, but it was a huge deal. Like, it had a lot of promotion and a lot of social media interaction and a lot of hype. And so, of course, on TikTok and other social media, people made the Bird Box Challenge. A lot of the times it was really harmless, to be fair. A lot of the times it was like a family taking turns in their living room blindfolding and then trying to shoot another family member with an airsoft gun or with something super harmless. Like, they were just kind of, it was just a fun little challenge where you were just blindfolded in your living room. Nobody's going to get seriously hurt. There's people with you, right? But of course, as yes, you always have to one up the last person if you want to get views on these challenge videos. So of course people started doing then like living an entire 24 hours like you're in Bird Box. So an entire 24 hours with a blindfold and trying to go about your day. And then of course some smart people decided to do the Bird Box challenge while driving. A 17-year-old girl crashed her truck into another car because she was driving blindfold for the Bird Box challenge. And then of course one of the Paul brothers had to get in on this, and Jake Paul filmed himself, but he posted himself walking in LA traffic and driving while blindfolded. YouTube, of course, took down the video pretty quickly. Again, thankfully, nobody died from doing the Bird Box challenge, but I did put it pretty low because it is so incredibly stupid and dangerous. And if it did keep going, I have no doubt it would have caused a lot more tragedies. Next on this list is the boiling water challenge. I literally cannot fathom how this became a thing, even with young people, how they thought this would be a good idea. The boiling water challenge is there is again two versions of the challenge, either pranking somebody by sneaking up to them and pouring boiling water on them, either when they have their back turned or while they're sleeping. And then the other one is also when people have been drinking boiling water through a straw. This one did seem to be more popular amongst much younger kids. I think kids that didn't understand that boiling water can cause third-degree burns. I think if you're under a certain age, you probably don't think about it like that. Like you're like, it's just water. It can't burn you because it's wet. So that makes no sense. So they don't know that boiling water can cause third-degree burns and send somebody to the hospital. I think this was like not teenagers, but younger kids. But I did see a video of a teenager doing it to a family member, which I can't show you because I'm already walking on thin ice making this video for YouTube in the first place. But I think the other thing too, and then drinking the boiling water too, we know, most of us know that you don't drink hot stuff through a straw for a reason, and that's because your lips protect you from hot things. So your lips are able to test and know how hot something is before it goes into your mouth. Your lips are very, very important for testing stuff before it goes into your body. And then if it's too hot, your lips will tell you before it hits your mouth so that you don't burn your mouth. Like, that's the point. And that's why you don't drink hot things out of a straw. So there was this challenge where not only were you drinking something hot out of a straw, but drinking boiled water in a straw, which is, yeah. An 8-year-old child reportedly died from drinking boiling water through a straw. They saw it on social media and her cousin dared her to do it, and so she did. It burned her throat so badly. It causes swelling, it causes blisters, it can like destroy skin and cells. So the inside of her throat was just destroyed. She needed like an emergency tracheotomy, and then she was having trouble breathing for months after this injury, and then she passed away a few months later. Now, I do need to put a big disclaimer on that story because while that part is true, she did drink boiling water because her cousin dared her because they saw it on some social media site. I do have to disclaim that I saw in a lot of the articles about this little girl that their whole household was under investigation by CPS and other authorities for possible neglect / ABUSE. And I don't know, there's not a lot of info out there, but I have a feeling she might have passed away due to other reasons in combination to that. So I don't know if it was solely because of the boiling water challenge, just as a disclaimer. Okay, Neck Nominate is next. This one's scary too, because I can see why it would seem like a harmless game, but then could get dark and turn tragic very quickly. Like some of these, this one also predates TikTok. It's not like TikTok invented a lot of these challenges. It's just that TikTok brings them back and they resurface because of TikTok. This one actually originated in the UK like over 10 years ago, and then it slowly moved to Australia and has moved to the US too. But again, around 10 years ago is when it first started to spread. So Neck Nominate is when you first chug a pint of beer, right? You film yourself chugging a pint of beer and that's it. And then in the video, you nominate a friend to do the same thing, and they have to do it within 24 hours or they lose. The catch is that it's not just people chugging a pint of beer, that would be relatively harmless. It was that you have to one up the person that nominated you. So every time somebody else gets nominated in a chain, it escalates to them having to do a dare with the drink, and the dares get riskier and the drinks get stronger. So it's not always just a beer, but it's also chugging hard A. So for example, the first person drinks a pint of beer, they nominate their friend to take 2 shots of vodka right after another. And then the person that took 2 shots of vodka nominates the next person to take 2 shots of Everclear while standing on their head. Or they nominate one of their girlfriends to go into a fast food joint and chug a beer in a bikini. I saw a picture of a group of guys chugging beer out of a toilet. You could not pay me any amount of money in the world to do that. Somebody was riding a horse while drinking a beer in a store. There was a guy I saw on a skateboard attached to a car who was riding on the back of this car on his skateboard while drinking. Like I said, the reason this one is so scary to me is because it seems like harmless fun. And if you have a good group of friends that aren't going to dare you to do anything too harmful or too dangerous, yeah, like I could see my friends doing this. I have a group of friends I hang out with, and we are way too wholesome to do anything scary, but we would make fun dares, but it would never be something that would actually hurt anybody or put somebody in danger. But I can see, especially college kids, group of young men doing this and wanting to impress their friends and one-upping each other until it gets really dangerous, especially when you're mixing these dangerous acts with the act of drinking. Not only are you adding a multitasking thing to the dare, but also intoxicating yourself at the same time. And the BBC has reported that this one has, again, possibly been linked to 5 deaths. It's hard to prove 100% that they were all linked specifically to this challenge, but it does seem like they most likely were doing this challenge when they passed away. Okay, that was tier 5, and now we're moving on to tier 6, and there's only tier 6 and 7. So this is, again, tier 5 got pretty dark. This one gets way worse. It's going to get scary from now on. Like, bear with me, because this one's really, really hard. And then tier 7 is just straight up death wishes. So tier 6, the first one I put on tier 6 is the Skull Breaker challenge. And many of you have probably heard of that. Even if this one wasn't dangerous, this one is just bully. This is just what bullies do, and it's so unbelievably cruel. So this is when there's 3, it's usually high school students, but it's been middle school students, it's been all ages, but it's typically young people. They line up in a row. A lot of them have been tricked into doing it by saying they're filming something for a school project, and the 3 kids will line up in a row. The middle person is the victim. The 2 on the outside of them will tell them, will coerce them into doing this for some reason. They'll say, we all are going to jump at the same time and we're filming it for a school project, or they'll tell them it's a different social media challenge. They will coerce them into doing this and not tell them what's going on. So they say, okay, 1, 2, 3, we're all going to jump as high as we can into the air. And the 2 people on the edge, though, they are plotting against the person in the middle. I'm describing this so carefully because I can't show a lot of it because and the 2 people on the outside, then when they'll go 1, 2, 3, and they'll pretend like they're going to jump, but they don't jump. And then when the person in the middle jumps, thinking they're all supposed to jump, the 2 people on the edge kick their knees out from under them, and then the person falls back and hits the back of their head. Usually, if they can catch themselves, they don't. Yeah, it's like the opposite of a trust fall. This one really, really upsets me because, like I said, even if nobody got hurt doing this, this is so mean. This is so embarrassing for the person in the middle. I think that's what also makes it so dangerous, is that if the person in the middle is hurt, they're going to be so embarrassed by what just happened to them. Especially a minor is going to be so embarrassed by this. They're going to pretend like they're not hurt because they're going to want to like pretend to laugh it off and then run away from the situation, right? And so I just think this one is so cruel. If your friends do this to you, they are not friends at all. They are terrible people. Nobody gets joy from seeing you intentionally seriously harm another person. It's just wild to me that even kids were doing this. Again, it's really wild that even like, I know kids do not have a fully developed prefrontal cortex. I get it, but they have empathy, right? But I guess again, there's bullies for a reason. Bullies exist. So anyway, needless to say, in spite of this being humiliating and so cruel, this is also just so dangerous, and a lot of kids have gone to the hospital because of this particular challenge. There's a chance of course, concussions, head injuries, but there's also a chance because you're not braced, you don't know you're gonna fall, so you don't brace for it, and so you won't just land on your butt. You could get a spinal cord injury and a neck injury. This can literally kill someone. Kids have gone to the hospital because they were victims of this, and the people that did it will often get charged with assaults. Imagine if your victim did pass away, like you could also be charged with manslaughter. I really hope that the kids that are doing this are getting charged with assault, getting arrested, and getting punished for this. Not because I think they're irredeemable as people or that I think they can never figure out, but they need to understand that there's consequences to doing shit like this, and play stupid games, win stupid prizes. And I do think even if it's minor jail time, some jail time to understand the gravity of what they did, I think would be prudent. That's if the person is okay. Like if the person ends up in the hospital, or if somebody inevitably passes away from this eventually, like I'm also trying to remember, it's been a while. I graduated from high school in 2009, and it's been a long time since I was in high school. I hated everybody at my high school, but I'm trying to remember. I cannot remember anybody doing stuff like this. Like, I cannot remember a lot of violence. I'm sure there were some fights that broke out and there was some violence, but like, I don't remember. I just remember bullies being bullies, not necessarily actually hurting people. It's so... yeah, I don't know. I'm sure it's different. I'm sure it's just because I'm in my own little bubble. I'm sure I'm ignorant to a lot of the stuff that goes on in high schools, especially now that TikTok is a thing. Okay, so Tide Pods is next. I had to add this in, even though this isn't really a TikTok challenge per se. It's again such an iconic blimp in internet history that I feel like it's very important to include. It's one of the first super dangerous challenges that went viral on social media. So Tide Pods, or laundry pods, it doesn't have to be Tide. Most laundry companies make a pod version. They're very concentrated versions of their detergent, so you could just throw it in the wash and it'll wash your clothes. You don't have to measure it out. You don't have to worry about what kind of stuff you get, blah, 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 blah. So it actually didn't start out as a challenge. In 2010, these laundry pods came to America, even though they existed before then. And this started out with just basically an epidemic of children eating and getting poisoned from the pods because they look like candy. Like they literally they've got a nice texture, they're colorful, they probably smell pretty decent. And so they look like candy. So a lot of kids were eating them. And then the other big victim of this whole thing was really sad, was people with dementia or Alzheimer's. So typically older people that had dementia were confusing these with food and also eating these. Between 2012 and early 2017, 8 people passed away from eating laundry pods. 6 of them were dementia patients and 2 of them were children. In 2015, Tide did take action to help prevent these tragedies from happening. So Tide did add a bitter flavoring to their Tide Pods, hopefully to deter people. So if they did try to bite into them, they would spit it out because it was really bitter. They also made the outer layer a lot thicker to hopefully not have them like burst open if they were squeezed. And then the other thing they did was add child and safety seals onto the bags. They also issued extensive warnings on the packages and other places on how to keep these out of reach of children, warnings about how children have been known to consume these, and to make sure to keep them in locked cupboards where dementia patients and children cannot get to them. However, regardless, it kind of resurfaced in 2018 where kids on TikTok and other social media did start daring each other to eat Tide Pods. And usually it was just a video of somebody trying to eat a Tide Pod, but then spitting it out and gagging. Basically, I don't think anybody has really consumed too much of it, but it's just wild to me that people were dying, being hospitalized, literally poisoning themselves. And so when social media comes around a few years later, they're like, hey, remember that? We should bring that back. Let's all eat Tide Pods on a dare. And again, for the views. Okay, the fractal wood burning challenge is next. This one was from just a couple years ago. This one was very, very recent. Remember when this went totally viral? So fractal wood burning is when you make these really beautiful designs in wood that are electrocuted into wood, basically, and making wood into these beautiful, like, it looked like a lightning bolt kind of designs all through the wood. It was fun to do. It was fun to watch. When it went viral, there was countless tutorials on YouTube, TikTok, all social media on how to do this if you wanted to do it at home. Turns out, surprise, this is so deadly. It's been linked to dozens of deaths. So it is very pretty, as I've been showing you some videos of it being done. The only videos I've shown you are professionals doing this and professionals who know what they're doing. But people were just like watching a few tutorials saying like, hey, that looks fun. I want to do that. And you can do it with a microwave transformer. We could do this at home. And people were doing it. And then dozens of people electrocuted themselves and died before they even hit the ground in their own homes from trying this, because there were not proper warnings on how dangerous this was. And people also who didn't know what they were doing were messing with very high volts of electricity. In 2022, Ann Reardon from her channel, How to Cook That, I'm a big fan of her channel. If you guys don't know, I watch every single one of her videos, but she came out with a video about this phenomenon and how dangerous it is and how it's killing so many people. And she called for these tutorials and these videos to be taken down, or at least put extensive warnings in the videos and in the description and stuff about how you shouldn't try this at home. Well, YouTube took her video down and banned it for showing dangerous acts, but YouTube did not take down the other videos, actually encouraging people and showing them how easy this is to do it at home. Thankfully, we all rallied and we were able to get Ann's video back on YouTube to hopefully most people will stumble across that or learn how dangerous this is before they try it at home. But I do want to include a clip from Ann's video because she explains and illustrates perfectly why this is so dangerous and what happens to make this so unbelievably dangerous. And she's going to explain it better than I can. So I'm just going to insert a clip from her video here.
So why is it so dangerous? Well, to explain that, let me draw you a picture. We'll start with our piece of wood and then we'll wet that with a mixture of water and bicarb. Then over here we have a power point that we will plug the machine into, and in the middle here we have a box, which in most how-to videos is a transformer that has been taken out of a microwave. So they attach one side of the transformer to the power supply, and on the other side they have a couple of car jumper cables, and in these alligator clips they add long metal spikes that they touch the wood with. Then you turn it on and the electric current starts to burn patterns into the wood. One of the problems with this hack is that people don't understand what is happening inside the microwave transformer. On this side, the wire does a few turns around, but on the other side it has lots and lots and lots of turns. And what that effectively does is it takes the 120 volts or 240 volts that are coming from the power outlet, depending on where you live, and it transforms that into 2000 volts, which means if you accidentally touch the metal on those alligator clips, or you touch the wood, or you touch the table if it's not on a non-conductive surface, you are going to be delivered 10 times the amount of power that's needed to stop your heartbeat. And in 7 out of 10 cases, the person is dead before they even hit the floor. There is just no margin for error here. One little lapse in concentration, one little error, and you're dead. It's not a good hack for anyone to try.
So this one is terrifying, literally, because it's like one tiny wrong move, you stumble a little bit, you're dead. That's it. Thankfully, because of Ann Reardon's video, most of the tutorials now have at least warnings in their descriptions with huge warning signs saying, do not try this at home. I'm a professional. This is not something that you DIY. I mean, better than nothing. I personally think it's absolutely insane that this many deaths have been linked to this exact DIY project, and YouTube still won't either age restrict or put warnings on the video. Like, you know how YouTube will warn you if we actually have an open conversation about S word, which I know I can't even fucking say it, or they'll give you like those black warnings, like, are you sure you want to watch? There may be distressing content. Like, why can't YouTube and other platforms have that little thing on it saying that this video contains a potentially dangerous activity? Are you sure you want to proceed? Or I honestly think, I know it sucks to get age restricted, but I do kind of think they should be age restricted, because God forbid a 12-year-old comes across this with their group of friends and one of the friends knows how to take stuff apart. Some young teenagers know how to do that and they decide they want to do this for themselves. Like, I don't know. I feel like if you're over 18, you have a better chance of knowing and reading warnings and knowing how dangerous this could be. That's just my opinion, but I think that it's wild that YouTube took down and banned Ann's video for talking about how dangerous this was, but then did nothing about the other tutorials on YouTube. It actively pisses me off because I get demonetized all the time. We're not even allowed to have an open discussion about S word or death on YouTube without getting punished or suppressed by YouTube. Again, like, we have to comply with those rules because it's YouTube. It's Daddy YouTube. It's his game. We're just playing in the game. We have to do what we have to do to be able to continue to post videos. But it's just so, I'm not complaining about being suppressed or demonetized. I'm complaining about the fact that I get suppressed and videos like mine and channels like me get suppressed, but then literally stuff, my videos aren't going to actually kill anyone, and literally stuff that could actually kill people and has killed people, YouTube's like, what? Huh? Oh no, it's fine. It's a problem. It's a problem. It is insane that they just let these super dangerous tutorials on their website and they're just like, it's fine. No, it's fine. They won't. Don't. Okay, I have to move on because I'm getting really pissed off. Okay, moving on. The penny challenge is next. This one is also so stupid. Again, most people thankfully nobody's passed away from doing this, but I put it down low because it's so stupid and so incredibly dangerous. So the penny challenge is when you put a phone charger typically in a wall outlet and you let it hang half out. So you know how it's kind of hard to get like Apple chargers all the way in. Sometimes they don't fit perfectly in the outlet. So people, especially young people, are putting phone chargers in the outlet and letting it hang out halfway, and then they're dropping a penny on the prongs of the phone charger just because it makes a bunch of sparks. It's making sparks for a reason. Don't do this. So experts have warned against this challenge. Firefighters and the like have definitely warned against this challenge because it is inevitable to either electrocute somebody, set someone on fire, or set a house on fire. Like, this is so dangerous. And it has actually caused fires in houses before. Okay, moving on to our last and deepest tier. I'm gonna have to be very careful with my language here, and I do apologize for censoring that I have to do. So the first one I put on tier 7, the deepest tier, is the blue whale challenge / also referred to as the game. I made a video about this a few years back explaining the entire lore of this challenge and where it likely came from. It's only like a 10-minute video. Got age restricted, of course. I guess I understand because I did say S word without censoring it, like literally from beginning to end of that video. So I'm sure it just got flagged for that. But if you do want to know the lore and probably where this came from, you should go watch that video. Now, it is very important to preface this challenge has not been proven to be a real thing. It has never been proven that someone has actually passed away as a direct result of this particular challenge. But it's become such a big urban legend almost on social media, on the internet, that I do think it's so dark, it's so scary, that I do think it's important, and I do think that it still belongs on this list. So the TLDR is that there's a social media user that usually goes by Jonathan Galindo, and he always has this creepy, goofy, the dog costume, but it's a picture from a makeup artist who does elaborate makeup and makeup to look like characters. They stole it from a makeup artist, and just because it's kind of creepy looking, and they use that as the profile picture, and it's usually under Jonathan Galindo. And the rumor was that these accounts under Jonathan Galindo on Twitter mostly, but in other places too, were DMing children and asking them if they wanted to play a game, and basically coercing them into playing that game and threatening them if they don't comply. So threatening to hurt them, threatening to hurt their family, threatening to leak embarrassing stuff about them to the world online if they didn't comply. And so kids were feeling forced into doing this. Supposedly, when the kids started the game, it was supposed to be 50 tasks over 50 days. So this social media account would message you a task to do every single day. And again, you had to do it or they would follow through on their threats. So it seemed doable at first. The first few days were very simple things. Wake up at 4:30 or 4:20 in the morning, wake up in the middle of the night, eat this, watch a horror movie. But then it would gradually turn into SH, and then it would gradually turn darker and darker, like stand on a ledge and look out, or have some of them were like have certain thoughts, if you know what I mean. And then it would be all leading up to the 50th day, and on the last 50th day, you could fill in the blanks, right? Again, I'm not going to say it too much because I really am trying my best to not get flagged by YouTube. So the 50th day, the worst challenge happens, and this account would instruct you to S-word. Now, there's a lot of details and a lot of lore. Like I said, it's a whole other video, but the gist is that there's never been evidence that these accounts there are a few accounts that have messaged people this stuff, but there's never been any evidence that anyone has followed through with the game, or that the people behind those accounts were anything but trolls or other children who heard about the game and were trying to do copycat accounts. The symbol of the blue whale has been associated and linked to the deaths of young people from this particular manner. But again, it's thought that it's just because blue whales represent something and resonate with young people, and so they often just draw it or reference it, you know, when they're in their very, very deep states of depression. Not so much that it is a particular game or that somebody instructed them to draw that before it happened, if that made sense. So, like I said, it's kind of an urban legend, but it's so dark and disturbing. And I feel like a lot of the other stuff on this list, especially what we're going to get into in this tier, is honestly not much better than something like this. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if this was real. You know what I mean? It does sound like the plot of a horror movie, but okay. So next we're talking about the blackout challenge. This is one of the scariest things that has ever come out of TikTok ever. This is where people, again, it was always young people, were themselves until they passed out. The point of doing this is that the lack of oxygen to your brain makes you feel euphoric or high, or at least that was the theory. All this does, though, is causes cerebral hypoxia, which is just lack of oxygen to the brain, which can cause brain damage within just a few minutes, and in many cases can and will kill you within minutes. A huge risk of this challenge is that a lot of the people participating in it were doing it in their rooms by themselves and filming it for a TikTok. So that's way scarier because a lot of people weren't doing it with someone with them. So they definitely weren't doing it in front of their parents because they know that it's not safe. And then a lot of kids were just doing it in their rooms without anybody there to help them if things went wrong. So yeah, not that this should be done under any circumstances, whether you have friends with you or not. I'm not saying that. This is definitely dangerous, literally no matter what the circumstances are. But I'm just saying that because of them often doing it by themselves, it increased the risk of serious injury or worse. Anyway, anywhere from 15 to 20 people have passed away as a direct result of doing this challenge. Absolutely heartbreaking and kind of honestly incredible that TikTok hasn't been held liable for some of these deaths. I know that you sign on and agree to a bunch of stuff when you sign up for TikTok. I'm sure they have liability listed in there all over the place. Like they can't be held liable for anything you see as a result of watching TikToks. I'm sure that is the case, but to me, these kids wouldn't have died if it wasn't for TikTok. And also, don't get me wrong, I'm not for a TikTok ban or anything like that. I don't think that would be a good thing. However, I do kind of wish that TikTok was a higher age. I think it's 13 now, but I really wish that you had to be 16 to sign up, and that if people under 16 were shown on the platform, the video would get taken down. Like that would solve a lot of problems, right? That would also solve family vlogging, the exploitation of children as well. But also, I know this will never happen, let's be honest. But also just, I feel like you also get a lot of smarts about you after the age of 12. And if you're like 16, at least you're not a very young teenager. And so you might be able to know better on how dangerous this kind of stuff is. Because I think that's where a lot of the danger comes in, is that it's like people that just became teenagers or 10 or 11 years old. So they're like preteens, and they just don't understand the consequences of this kind of stuff. I just watched Reptar climb on top of Chucky in their little basket. He's keeping him warm. That's so cute. Okay, the Benadryl challenge is next. This is yet another one where teens were trying to figure out a way to experiment with certain illegal substances without actually having to get their hands on illegal substances. So this rumor was that basically if you overdose on Benadryl, there's no other way to put it. That was the rumor, that if you did that, it would also, you could induce hallucinations, and you could also get kind of the LSD type experience. The problem was that people were taking, like, it was encouraged to take like between 12 and 14 tablets in one sitting. And for reference, typically for Benadryl, people under 12 years old, the max is 6 tablets in a 24-hour period. And for adults, the max is, or over 12 years old, the max is 12 tablets in a 24-hour period, which, don't get me wrong, that still seems like a lot of Benadryl, even if taken as directed. I don't know anybody who's ever needed to take that much Benadryl ever, but still, taking that entire 24-hour dose in one sitting is what was happening. And yeah, this killed people. 13-year-old Jacob Stevens was one victim of this challenge. He started seizing after taking somewhere between 12 and 14 tablets after seeing this challenge on TikTok. It was also possibly linked to the death of another 15-year-old girl, but again, that link has not been definitively proven. Other teens have been hospitalized from taking part in this challenge. Cha-Cha Slide Challenge is the next one on the deepest tier. And you guys know the song Cha-Cha Slide. I can't play the song, but it's been played at every roller skating birthday party you've ever been to. And it's pretty much at every wedding you'll ever go to. And everybody in the crowd, you know how you do the song. Like, you do what they say in the song. Slide to the left, slide to the right, and crisscross and all that. So people decided that it would be a good idea to do this in a car while driving. The challenge is to swerve to the left, swerve to the right. Crisscross was the most dangerous one, and it was often while driving at a high speed and often going into oncoming traffic. TikTok has not banned any of these videos. All they've done is put the little tag on the bottom of the video saying that participating in this activity could get you or others hurt, but that's all they've done. They haven't removed any of these videos or banned the search term or anything like that. Now, I did find an article that referenced 3 people dying in a car accident due to this challenge, but it was this tiny country in Southeast Europe, and I could not find that many details on it, so do not take my word as gospel on that one, because there was no reliable information to confirm that people have actually died as a result of this challenge. However, I still decided to put this one in the deepest tiers because doing challenges in a car is just, there's absolutely no way that that is not going to end in horrific tragedy one way or another. I just put this one down here because it seems like one of the most dangerous things you could possibly do, especially people without a lot of experience driving and going in a car and swerving into oncoming traffic with their friends for the fun of it. So stupid. Okay, the Trank challenge, or the Tranquilizer challenge. This one originated in Mexico and has been mostly seen in Mexico. This is a game where a group of friends literally take prescription tranquilizer drugs, and then the game goes, the last person to fall asleep wins. That's the game, is you take a bunch of drugs and then you try not to fall asleep. Clonazepam has been the most popular choice for participating in this, and while many people have been hospitalized from doing this, thankfully I did not see any deaths. And again, I put this one in the bottom tier because while no one has died yet, it is just such an unbelievably bad idea to mess with prescription drugs. I mean, not only is it illegal, but there's a reason it's illegal, and that's because if you mess with prescription drugs, one wrong move and your life is literally over. So clonazepam, the one popular for this particular challenge, is in the class of benzodiazepine. So lorazepam, which is aka Ativan, or alprazolam, which is Xanax, those are also benzodiazepines. Those are all in the same class of drug. And messing with those without a prescription or not taking as directed can be really, really bad. Now, look, I love lorazepam. That is the medicine that really helps when I have occasional panic attacks. I need that medication because I get really, really bad panic attacks that come out of nowhere, and that is the medication that helps me the most. So I'm not saying that these drugs are inherently bad, but you don't take them to do anything except what they were intended for. And like Heath Ledger, for example, this is how he died, was mixing these. He did mix them with opioids. Like, I'm not saying that this is the same thing, but people don't know how these drugs interact if they're not pharmacists or not medical professionals. And people will sometimes accidentally take something with another thing and it impedes their breathing, or it again can cause an OD. And I particularly worry about kids doing this. I mean, not only is this just dangerous to do when you don't know what you're doing in general, but I worry about young kids or teenagers who are kind of just starting to getting into partying and they partake in something like this. And then what if somebody also gives them an opioid or gives them too much alcohol or something and it mixes? And this is just a recipe. This is a concoction for disaster. Okay, and I saved the absolute most insane, darkest, pretty much guaranteed death for last. And that is the Angel of Death challenge. And the reason you haven't heard of this one is because it was a social media TikTok challenge. However, it's been mostly in Indonesia. I have not seen it spread to other countries. That doesn't really matter. It was still challenged somewhere and kids were still doing it because of social media. But that's why you haven't heard of it, is because it was mostly been in Indonesia. But this is, I'm not even kidding you, the Angel of Death is where you film you or your friends or both your friends jumping in front of a truck that's moving, barreling down the street, jumping in front of the truck. You win the challenge if the truck stops before it hits you. Horrifying. absolutely. I know that this one has killed at least 2 Indonesian teenagers from participating in this. Again, like I said, just jumping in front of a moving truck. This one pretty much guarantees, I think pretty much 100% guarantees at the very, very, very least, if you're incredibly lucky, you'll end up in the hospital. And that's if you're incredibly lucky. But at least 2 people actually did this and died from it. And not only are you doing this to yourself, but you're traumatizing the truck driver. The truck driver doesn't want to hit anybody. There's actually video out there of kids participating in this in Indonesia. Obvious reasons I can't show it to you, but it's just this is, yeah. Somebody on Reddit said that it's just a matter of time before we have a plugged in toaster in the bathtub challenge. And that comment really resonated with me. Okay, guys, that is going to be it for the dark, disturbing, dangerous TikTok challenges. Iceberg. I would love to know if I missed some down below. Love to know your thoughts down below. Please like the video just to support the channel. Don't forget our sponsor today, which is Bellesa. If you want to join the giveaway, instructions for how to do that will be below this video, and I will see you all in the next video. Thank you so much to all the patrons on the screen right now, and I will see you in the next one. Okay, bye.